Well, Florida Congresswoman Kanak, I'm sorry, that was in there, is exposing Nancy Pelosi's shocking remarks on the Afghanistan conflict. Kanak tweeted yesterday, just wrapped up a call with Secretary Austin, Secretary Blinken, and General Milley for a second time on Afghanistan during the Q&A with members. Speaker Pelosi just said, everything sounds like it's in a good place. Everyone just needs to get to the airport. Unbelievable. Well, that Congresswoman joins me now with more. Congresswoman, there's a lot of talk today about how out of touch Joe Biden is, President Biden, but how out of touch is Nancy Pelosi, given what you heard on that call?
You know, I think it speaks volumes of not just the administration and how they have handled this utter and total failure of a withdrawal, but Democratic leadership in general. When the Speaker of the House is saying that everything seems to be in a good place, everybody just needs to get to the airport. You know, it took me about 10 minutes just to get my jaw up off the desk. I couldn't believe when we have left Americans behind, when we have probably one of the worst examples of American military failure, no contingency plans in place, and the Speaker of the House is saying everything seems fine. Madam Speaker, you can't just take an Uber to the airport.
Right.
You can't take a casual stroll through the streets and flash your papers to the Taliban who are manning these checkpoints. And as you have just been reporting this morning, there's mixed messaging. There's officials saying, stay at home, shelter in place, don't come to the airport. In our office, we have over 187 cases of people from our district that we are trying to get out of Afghanistan. And the State Department this morning was still saying, send them to the airport. You want to talk about mixed messaging, fumbling and bumping over the place? This is across the board, an utter and total failure of leadership.
Yeah, it's very dangerous mixed messaging. Yeah. So Joe Biden claims that Al-Qaeda is gone. Our own Jennifer Griffin actually pressed Pentagon's press secretary, John Kirby, on this. Take a listen to this. I want to get your reaction.
Interest do we have in Afghanistan at this point with Al-Qaeda gone?
We know that Al-Qaeda is a presence, as well as ISIS, in Afghanistan, and we've talked about that for quite some time.
The president just said that there is no Al-Qaeda presence in Afghanistan, and that does not seem to be correct.
What we don't think is that what we believe is that there isn't a presence that is significant enough to merit a threat to our homeland as there was back on 9/11 20 years ago.
Oh.
Congresswoman Kamak, I want to get your reaction to that. In addition, I'd like to ask you, I'm sure you've been in touch with some of your counterparts in Congress on the Democrat side. What are they making of this? Are they embarrassed? Do they stand with the president?
No, I have spoken with Democratic members as well as their staff. They are royally embarrassed. This is the bumbling, fumbling Biden show. And you hear just right there, John Kirby, the Pentagon press secretary, sounding more like Morse code than actually able to articulate one coherent sentence. They're not even comfortable with the lines of nonsense that they are trying to sell the American people on. That is what is so disturbing. You know, this is a time in American history, a point in our nation where we need to come together as Americans. We don't leave people behind. We should be focused on getting to the bottom of this and having accountability in the near-term future. But right now, we have people in country. We have to get them out. We should be focused on that. They can't even get their story straight of whether or not there's a presence of Al-Qaeda in country. Right. I agree with my colleague, Mike Waltz. He said this is Al-Qaeda 3.0. We've known that. I sat in a skiff and heard from the intelligence communities that there is, in fact, a situation brewing. So we've known this for months. They're peddling lies, trying to misdirect the American people and the international community. And again, you know, we're talking about very simple messaging. We need all of the leadership on one sheet of music, but they can't even get that right. You know, people have been asking, where's the vice president? Where's Kamala Harris in all of this? You know, I think they're terrified that if she does speak out, she's going to end up laughing when she gets into an uncomfortable situation, and that would just be terrible for them.
Right.
So it's a terrible mess. We have a lot of work to do. We got to get our American folks back home, our nationals back home, our SRVs out of country. And I tell you, we will do that. We will not leave an American behind. To our military that has served, thank you. This is not in vain. It is the suits in Washington that have failed. They have really cast a doubt on the credibility of our nation. Our military is resilient, though. I believe that they will get the job done.
Yeah. Congresswoman Kamek, thank you for joining us this morning. Such an important message, and you're right. John Kirby sounds like my teenagers lying. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Keep fighting.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Have a great weekend.
You too.